Hello, welcome to today's video. I'm glad you could be with me again. Today we're going to talk about the stress of your first hospital administration job. Perhaps congratulations is in order. Perhaps you've just been promoted or received this new job. And now you're thinking, what do I do now? I feel really excited, but I'm also nervous, a little bit uncertain, definitely feeling some stress from this. My name is Jeff Comer. I'm a hospital CEO for 20 years and counting. I'm also educated at the doctoral level in psychology, with my entire focus being on psychology behind stress and stress management. So that's what we're going to talk about today: is how can we understand the stress of this new exciting opportunity, and how can we deal with this stress? Okay, so why is a new hospital administration job so stressful? Well, in short, it does engage your stress reactive process. Now, a lot of people understand this as the fight, flight, or freeze response mechanism. As you've heard from other videos, I don't usually call it that. That is not particularly accurate, and there's a lot of misinformation about fight, flight, or freeze. It is accurate in certain circumstances, but not all circumstances. So I refer to the process, the psychological and the physiological process of stress, as stress reactivity. Much more accurate way to describe it. And we might actually do a full video on this at some point. I get a lot of questions about this, so that's definitely down the road. But for today, this new job is engaging this stress reactive process. Now, you may say, but it's a new job. This is great. This is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. And that's absolutely true. But here's the thing. Your mind and your body don't differentiate between positive stress and negative stress. One of the most stressful things you can encounter in life is a positive stressor. It's a marriage. One of the most distressing things you can encounter in life is the back end of a bad marriage, and that is divorce. So you've got this happy, exciting day of marriage, this terrible, depressing day of divorce. Your body and your mind interpret them the same way from a physiological standpoint. It's important to understand that although civilization has progressed very rapidly, we have amazing technology, all this structure, your mind and your body from a stress standpoint are still operating back on the plains in Africa and on the tundras, okay? They have not adapted or evolved as quickly as society and technology have. So your body is still reacting to stress as if it was an emergent stressor, meaning a stressor that can and more likely will kill you. Now, most of the stress that we encounter today is not emergent. We're not going to die from most of our stress. Most of our stress is symbolic. A new hospital administration job is a symbolic stressor. It is certainly positive, but there are also distressing aspects of it. So stress, again, is positive, called eustress, and negative, distress. The eustress of a new job, we talked about it. You're excited. It's a promotion, maybe more money, the chance to manage people, the chance to make a difference, all these great things that go along with it. But it's also quite distressing as well. Perhaps you don't feel that you're ready for it. Perhaps you feel you weren't trained for it. Maybe you were a clinical nurse and all of a sudden you're thrown into a manager position, and in nursing school they never taught you about management, and you're distressed about that for obvious reasons. Perhaps you're nervous about public speaking. All of a sudden you got to speak in meetings. You got to speak to the CEO. Maybe you have to go to a board meeting. A lot of different things can be very stressful about this new job. So again, the positive stress, the negative or distress, they all weigh on you the same way. So they result in stress reactivity that I mentioned. Another thing that's important to consider, again, I come at this from an evolutionary, developmental, psychological standpoint, not a tactical standpoint. I'm looking at the mind and how it's interpreting the stress of this situation. But that involves clans. And you've heard me talk about this in every one of my videos because it's so important. Human beings as a species survived because of our ability to belong to a clan. A clan was a structure that gave us strength in numbers. It protected us from predators, from competing clans. If you were removed or rejected from your clan, from an evolutionary perspective, it was pretty much a certain death. Again, our mind is still operating to a degree in that frame of reference. So all this structure today is still kind of interpreted from your mind as if you're back on the plains or the tundra. So you've taken this new role. You're going into a new clan structure. You want to belong. You want approval. You know that the clan is going to be assessing you, evaluating you. And you don't want to be rejected or disapproved by this clan, because from from a psychological evolutionary perspective, that means very negative outcomes. Again, if you get rejected by your organization or your department you're taking over, you're not going to die. I know that. We all get that. But it is still that fear of rejection and disapproval that really came from that clan structure. So that adds another level of stress to this. A final area of psychological stress that you may encounter, something that I've really encountered, is being in the spotlight. All of a sudden, that first day you walk on a new job and everybody wants to meet you. They want to shake your hand, they want to talk to you. Maybe your boss takes you throughout the hospital and introduces you. You've constantly got people focusing on you. I am much more of an introverted person. I don't like being in that spotlight, and perhaps some of you will identify with that. But even if you're extroverted, sometimes it can be a little bit awkward or uncomfortable. I remember some of my first CEO jobs, I would go and try to meet the doctors. So I'd go into the physician lounge. And that can be very intimidating for a new administrator. You're walking in, all these doctors are saying that they know each other. They don't really pay any attention to you as you walk in. You have to actually walk up, interrupt their conversation, and introduce yourself. And that caused a lot of stress for me. Very similar for me. I'm not a clinical person by background. I don't like needles, blood, all that kind of stuff. I love healthcare, always want to be a part of it, but I never want to be a clinician. So going to the nursing station the first time can be very stressful for me. The nurses are busy, they're very focused, they're very intense. And you walk up there and they kind of look at you like, well, who are you and what do you want? And that can be a little bit stressful. Now, over time, you build those relationships and people start to shake hands, hug, everything. But that first day can be very stressful. So that spotlight that's on you in a new role can be uncomfortable, particularly if you're in a difficult role that maybe needs a turnaround. Maybe there's a tremendous amount of pressure on you from day one. I've done a lot of turnarounds in my career. That's kind of what I specialized in, and I would show up at hospitals that were going to close. And so everybody immediately wants the answers. They want you to tell them what to do. And you're sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do yet. This is day one. I'm just trying to find the bathroom. Well, where's the cafeteria? So it just takes time to get comfortable in that spotlight. Again, though, all of these things lead to stress reactivity, and whether it makes sense or not in today's civilization and society doesn't matter. It makes sense to your brain and to your body, and so you have to acknowledge that. So, most importantly, what can we do? Now, again, I'm coming at this from a psychological perspective. There are a lot of tactics you can do. How can you structure meetings? How can you structure your first week? How can you do this and that and assess the situation, review the financial and the quality measures and all those different things? Lots of videos on that, lots of articles on that. I'm here to talk about from a stress level. How can you manage the stress of starting this exciting and also stressful new job? So, these are things that have worked for me in the past, and they're also supported in the psychological research. But first, and it sounds so simple, guys, take the pressure off of yourself. We can be our worst enemies with stress. We are causing most of this. Again, you have a new clan, you want to be liked, you want to be accepted, you want to do a good job, you don't want to be removed, you don't want to be rejected, you don't want to be disapproved of, you don't want to fail in your job. It's day one. Okay, you've just started. None of that applies. Take that pressure off of yourself. A lot of times I would walk into a new organization, I kind of mentioned it a second ago, and I feel like people are looking at me like they want the answers. They tell me a problem, they think that I should know right then and there how to fix it. Typically we don't. We don't know the culture, we don't know the organization, we don't know the history, we don't know the background. We don't have all the answers. In fact, on day one, you probably shouldn't have the answers because the way you did it somewhere else might not work in this organization. So take that stress off of you, take that pressure off of you, relax, enjoy the role, settle into it, get to know everybody. Now, this ties into my next point of how you can reduce your stress in a new role. And it's a very important one. Be authentic. Now, authenticity is a big buzzword in psychology right now. And like all buzzwords, it will come and go. And I honestly kind of get tired of hearing about authenticity. That's all we talk about as psychologists. But in this particular situation, it is very relevant. So being authentic, it just means be yourself. Be true to who you are. Be true to your own values. Don't try to be what you think is expected or what others want you to be. That can lead to conformity, which is a well-known social psychological concept. Conformity leads to de-individualization, groupthink, the loss of yourself, and really bad decisions. Now, I want you to understand, we've talked a little bit about stress reactivity and stressors, and I talked about emergent stress as something that will kill you. That is the stressor, the type of stressor that will cause the highest stress reactivity, the most pronounced stress reactive response in your body and your mind. Anybody know what the second highest is? Just take a second. Anybody? This is when I wish we had dialogue so I could ask the question, we could talk. The second highest stressor leading to stress reactivity is guilt. Now, guilt can be psychologically caused by a lot of different things. But one of the things it can result from is inauthenticity, not being true to yourself, trying to be someone else that you are not. I remember early in my career, I'm not a golfer. I don't mean to offend anybody. I don't like golf. I think it's boring. It's just not my cup of tea. I like to do a lot of other things. Golf is not one of them. But when I started my career as a young hospital CEO, I thought, well, I got to play golf. Everybody plays golf. The board plays golf. The doctors play golf. All the CEOs I know play golf. I got to do it. So, I spent all kinds of money on golf clubs and golf lessons, and I spent hours on the weekend out there trying to learn to play golf. And I finally got to where I wouldn't embarrass myself too terribly, so I started going out with, doctors to play golf and board members. And I just never liked it. And they could tell I didn't like it. I was being inauthentic. Now, that's a very simplistic example, but I think it gets the point across. Don't try to be who you're not. Don't try to conform to someone because you think that's what they want. That is the worst thing you can do, and it leads to so much cognitive dissonance and emotional dysregulation, and it leaves you just, in other words, in layman's terms, it leaves you very unhappy, very depressed, and you will not perform as well. Be yourself, be authentic, and with that, the next step, nurture your clan. You've heard me talk about this in other videos as well. You don't want to get into a situation of being depersonalized. Depersonalization is when people don't know you and they start making up things about you. And that, again, layman terms. If you're not out and visible and out interacting with people, being authentic with them, letting them see who you are, taking the pressure off yourself, relaxing, talking to them, listening to them, getting their ideas, getting their feedback, brainstorming with them, they will make up who they think you are. It is a very, very common psychological aspect of human beings. We want to have control. We want to feel that we know what's going on. And if there's no communication and we don't see you, we're going to make all kinds of stuff up, okay? And it's probably not accurate, and it's probably not what you want. So get out there, nurturing that clan. Understand the importance of that clan cohesion and foster it, develop it, show them that you're a part of it. You're not this hospital CEO sitting up in your office with your feet kicked up on your desk reading the Wall Street Journal or whatever. You're with them. You're out there. For me, and some people may not like this approach, I absolutely never wear a suit in a hospital unless there's a defined purpose for me to wear it. Maybe I have a board meeting. Maybe there's a decision that I'm announcing to the community, and I want to have that suit on and have that kind of corporate look. But for me, I want people to see me as a person. I want them to know I'm a real guy. I have interests, I have hobbies, I have a family. A lot of times I come back on the weekends and my wife comes with me. We do rounds because when they see me with her, one, she's much more likable than I am, so they're going to like her more than me at any rate. But they see me as a family guy. They see me as a person who has a wife and a life outside of the hospital, not this stuffy corporate guy sitting in an office. So you have to find your own things that you can do. But again, this all ties together. Take the pressure off of yourself, be authentic, and nurture your clan. It will help reduce your stress considerably, and it will take the stress off of everybody else. Keep in mind, when you're a new person, a new CEO, new manager of a department, your staff is nervous too. They've got a new person. They don't know if you're going to change everything. They don't know if you're going to fire them. They don't know if you're going to close departments down. They don't know anything about you, okay? Remember, you're not alone. You're with your clan. They're nervous. You're nervous. Work together and break that down, break that stress down, and realize you're in it together and you're trying to do what's best for the organization, okay? Those things can help you so much. Finally, I'm not going to spend much time on this. A very important aspect of reducing stress in general, though, and that's to take care of yourself. Guys, healthcare workers, we are the worst at taking care of ourselves. We should be the best, shouldn't we? I mean, we see the outcomes of not taking care of yourself in our patients a lot of times, and yet we don't do that. We don't eat as well as we should. We don't get the exercise we should. A lot of us smoke too much. We drink too much. We're stressed because of our jobs. Our jobs are stressful. I just saw an article recently that 3/4 of hospital leaders, hospital administrators, are completely burned out. Now, you always hear doctors talking about how burned out they are, nurses talking about how burned out they are, and they are. Hospital administrators don't get enough recognition for our stress and how burned out we are as well. So, you got to take care of yourself. Set the tone as a leader, regardless of what position you're in, as a leader. Set the tone for your organization. Make sure when you're eating in the cafeteria, you make healthy selections. Make sure you set the tone about exercising, talking about fitness, talking about self-care and wellness, talking about mental health care, talking about dealing with being burned out and stressed out. All of those things will reduce that depersonalization and will make you look more part of the clan, and it will help you by reducing your stress levels and then in turn modeling that behavior so your employees do it. It's a win-win for everybody. So don't forget about the importance of self-care and wellness. It really will definitely pay dividends for you personally as well as professionally. Okay? I'm talking really fast. There is so much more I could talk about on this topic. I want to give you, though, just a few things that you could do immediately that will help you with your stress levels on starting this new job, this exciting new role, exciting new position, but also stressful. So try these things. Please send me comments, message me, let me know if they help. And I'm in this with you. I start new jobs all the time as a turnaround CEO guy. I do a lot of interim CEO jobs. I'm starting new jobs very frequently because I do a lot of interim work. And trust me, guys, I know what it's like. I'm right there with you. And hang in there with it. And we'll see you on our next video.